In this video, you'll learn about my philosophies on happiness, and specifically the factors that contribute to happiness and my reflections on life after quitting my job. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell button to be notified when new videos come out. Now, it's been a solid 5 years now since I resigned from my day job, so I wanted to take a moment to reflect on my experiences with unemployment and how to find what makes you happy. And here's the thing. Most people had this rosy vision of quitting their job and being their own boss, but personally, my transition when I first quit was not entirely smooth. And for those of you who think financial freedom is the answer to all of your problems, you may want to think again. In fact, at one point, I considered taking on another day job at a startup because I felt a void in my life. But one major positive about quitting is that it has had a profound effect on my business success. Because I have a lot more time to work, I've been able to make numerous improvements to my e-commerce store and my blog. So for example, in the last 5 years, my businesses have grown dramatically. I tweaked my tablet and mobile sites to drastically improve my conversion rates. I redesigned my e-commerce store to increase overall sales. I rewrote 4 months of email autoresponder sequences to convert customers on autopilot. And I revamped my Pinterest strategy and discovered how to run profitable Pinterest ads. I started doing SMS marketing. I created a YouTube channel. I'm on TikTok. And for my blog, I've been putting out longer, more comprehensive posts, which have done exceptionally well. And same goes with YouTube. Now, even though I've been cranking on the business front, I've also been struggling with a couple of things that I'll talk about in this video. Now, whenever I speak at conferences, a lot of people are always amazed at how lean I run my businesses. Now, I don't have a staff, nor do I have any desire to build a large team. And for my blog, I basically have just one assistant who helps edit my podcasts and videos, but that's pretty much it. I handle my online store course all by myself, I answer all my own emails, and I write all my own posts for my blog, and I produce all the content for my podcast and YouTube. In fact, after my FinCon speech on how to make over $60,000 in 90 minutes with an online webinar, my buddy Noah Kagan asked me, "Steve, why don't you up your game? Why aren't you scaling your businesses to maximize profit? Why don't you hire more people to handle all of your stuff?" And my simple answer, I just don't want the added stress. Both of my businesses each exceed 7 figures, and if you look at my lifestyle, I barely spend any money at all, and I have tons of free time. And outside of the kids, I have very few expenses. And in short, my businesses generate way more money than I need to live. So would scaling my businesses generate me more money? Hell yeah. But would it make me any happier? I'm not so sure. And here's what I come to realize. Great success comes at a sacrifice. Now, ever since I started my podcast, I've met and hung out with many successful entrepreneurs, and I consistently get this feeling that the more successful you are, the lonelier and unhappier you get. In fact, most of my uber successful friends have been forced to sacrifice their social and family lives to grow their businesses. And believe me, I've thought about pressing down hard on the gas pedal in the past. As an undergrad at Stanford, I was a member of a special group called the Mayfield Fellows. Only 12 students are selected every year, and you are provided with special resources and access to venture capitalist mentors to start your own company. And over the years, many of my Mayfield Fellows have had 8, 9-figure, and even 10-figure exits. So for example, Kevin Systrom of Instagram is perhaps the most successful Mayfield alumni. And another Mayfield Fellow friend of mine, Steph Hannon, was actually the CTO for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. Now, when you put a bunch of driven people together, the pressure to succeed is intense. Anyway, whenever we have our annual retreats, I often feel inferior because while I'm out there selling hankies and digital courses, everyone else is creating life and world-changing companies. Now, I know it's probably not the right way to think about it, but my ego really wants to start and scale to a much larger company, and I often have to remind myself of the costs. Is the prestige worth it? Are the sacrifices justified? Will creating a large company make me happy? Now, for me, I know that there's 4 aspects of my life that I must maintain in order to feel fulfilled. My basic needs need to be met. Can I afford to buy whatever I need to buy? And can I support my family? Do I have enough money to kick back and do what I want? My mind also needs to be stimulated. Do I find what I'm working on interesting and fulfilling? Am I using my brain to its full capacity and potential? I must also feel close to my family. Am I spending enough time with my wife and kids? Am I involved enough to be an integral part of their lives? I also require social stimulation. Am I interacting with interesting people who share my goals and ideals? And do I have peers that are constantly challenging me to do better? Now, over the years, I've discovered that once a minimum threshold has been met for a given category, further gains have diminishing returns. So for example, if I go out with my friends 2 or 3 times a week, that's generally good enough to satisfy my social needs. Going out any more often than that isn't going to improve my social satisfaction, and the same goes with the other categories I just mentioned. Now, the secret to happiness lies in achieving the appropriate balance that matches your personality. But how do you figure out what your thresholds are for each category? Well, here's what my current situation looks like. And note, my life is not entirely balanced yet, but I am working on it. Okay, so aspect number 1, wealth. I give myself a 4.5 out of 5. So first off, I don't consider myself rich, but I have more than enough money to do whatever I want. If I feel like going out to eat at a nice restaurant, I don't blink an eye. If I want to take an extended vacation on a cruise ship in a 2-story suite, no problem. If I want to attend a couple NBA Finals games, no sweat. As long as I don't do anything stupid or spend my money recklessly, I can easily generate enough income to cover my basic expenses and anything that I want to do. So when Noah asked me why I haven't tried to blow up my businesses, 2 immediate thoughts popped into my head. 1, scaling any business requires hiring a team, and managing team members always makes things more complicated. At Bumblebee Linens, we currently have 3 employees, and while they have generally been great, dealing with different personalities and keeping everyone motivated has caused a great amount of stress. 2, life is much more simpler when your business is small. Right now, I can take care of almost everything by myself, and in the worst case, I could keep everything running on my own and not have to worry about jungling a bunch of different moving parts. And then finally, there are diminishing returns in the money department. Would I welcome more money in my life? Of course. Would more money make me happier? Probably not. Would starting a large company stroke my ego? Absolutely. But is boosting my ego worth the sacrifice? Probably not. Right now, I think I'm good in the wealth department, and I will continue to grow my businesses at a steady pace. Aspect number 2, mental stimulation. I give myself a 4 out of 5. Now, I've mentioned this many times in the past, but my mind requires constant stimulation. And one of the main reasons that I worked as a hardware engineering director for so long is because designing microprocessors requires a decent amount of brain power. And at my day job, I had the pleasure of working with brilliant people from MIT, Stanford, and Cal. All right, maybe not Cal, but there was one point early on in the company where 80% of the employees had advanced degrees from the top 5 colleges in the nation, and it made me appreciate working with people much smarter than myself. Now, unfortunately for me, selling hankies, blogging, podcasting, and teaching my class isn't enough to satisfy my intellectual needs. And when I quit my job, I tried to fill the void with a couple of software projects that I silently worked on in the background. And that's how I covered myself in this department. Okay, aspect number 3, family. 5 out of 5. Family is the main reason why I decided to quit my job. And my kids are at an age right now where they totally adore me and actually want to hang out. So instead of sitting behind a computer in an office all day working for the man, I made the decision to sacrifice a little mental stimulation for an active role in their lives. And here's the thing about my kids. While I love them to death, I'm not the type of dad that can spend every minute with them because they would just drive me crazy. So instead, my goal has been simply to be present. So for example, I make sure I'm around to help them with their homework. I make sure I'm around to play with them if they want to play. I make sure I'm around to attend their soccer, basketball, and volleyball games. Now, I might not be hanging out with them every single minute of the day, but I'm there if they need me. And finally, there's aspect number 4, social stimulation. I give myself a 3.5 out of 5. Now, the one aspect of my life that I'm currently struggling with is the lack of social stimulation. And when I was working at my day job, I was in constant contact with brilliant people every single day. And these people would challenge me to do better because I knew that they were smarter than me. But once I quit, the interaction abruptly stopped. And after quitting my job, I found myself sitting in front of my computer alone. In fact, the lack of interaction with smart and driven people is one of the main reasons why I considered joining another startup company shortly after quitting. But deep down, I knew that going back to work wasn't the right choice. Now today, I actually have to make an active effort to meet up with other like-minded entrepreneurs in my area. I also try to attend as many relevant conferences as possible. Heck, I even started my own conference over at the Seller Summit to fill this void. But overall, I think I'm in a pretty good place. And meeting 3 out of the 4 of my happiness attributes is not bad. Now currently, my biggest struggle is keeping my ego in check. Because I know that I could achieve much greater things in life and business if I were to just go nuts. And part of me wants to be wildly successful and to be known for accomplishing amazing and impactful things. But at this point, I have a decent handle on what makes me happy, and it's just a matter of executing on that plan. So I'm curious, what are your minimum requirements for happiness? I would love to hear your thoughts. Hope you enjoyed this video. Now, if you like what you saw, there's actually a lot more where that came from if you subscribe to my channel below. And if you are interested in learning how to sell physical products online, then click over here and take my free 6-day mini course where I'll walk you through everything that you need to know to get started in e-commerce. Thanks for watching.